Hey, follow my Twitch. What's more sad? Splatoon 1 only getting 1 year of updates, Splatoon 3 getting 2 updates of barely anything. That's, like, the biggest amount of cap I've ever seen in a comment. Not to be rude, but, like, that is a big amount of cap. Especially with the amount of stuff that we did get in Splatoon 3. Because we definitely did get a bunch of stuff, but we're not looking at it. You meant 2 years for Splatoon 3? Yeah, and we still got a bunch. Like, I can say it again from Splatoon, like, if we're gonna look at Splatoon 2 and praise Splatoon 2, and we had like however many years of updates, we still didn't get the same amount in Splatoon 2 compared to Splatoon 3 in 2 years. So I don't know what if we're gonna make this argument. Let's take out all. Let's use all the Splatoon games. All right. Like if we're just gonna ignore the 8 trailers that we had of content updates, and we're gonna look back to Splatoon 2 and be like, oh, you know what? The Kenta update was amazing. It was like one of the only like big updates that we had in that game, and be like, oh, that was crazy. Yeah, no, we're just lying to ourselves at that point. I can't agree. That's just what I'm gonna say. Like this game didn't even get a lot. I mean, we do have third kits, but like we don't. I mean, obviously this is like the start of the game. I'm not gonna lie to myself and be like, you know. We had tons and tons of stuff because this game does not have a lot. It's still very fun. It's just a very fun game to play, but despite the point. But it doesn't have a lot. We're gonna be real. Splatoon 2 had a bunch of stuff. Splatoon 3 has even more stuff, and it's just like wow. But I think we're just like maybe jaded by the fact that some people don't enjoy Splatoon 3 as much as the other games or anything like that. And that's totally anyone's opinion. You know, if you don't enjoy the game, you don't enjoy the game. I do enjoy the game. Also, there are parts of it that I don't enjoy. There's parts of it that I think that could still be updated, or they still have time, but we don't know what is fully finished or anything like that. I'll still say it though, that I feel like people would enjoy Splatoon 3 even more if there was less input lag. They wouldn't give the game as much crap if the game felt better. I genuinely believe that, because I feel like when the game feels really, really fun to play, despite the aesthetics that people so desperately want, which I guess people feel like it would make the game better if they could see this certain thing. I feel like they wouldn't care if the game just felt better. And that's why when I look at Splatoon 1, because the game feels so friggin' good, and I keep coming back to it, with the amount of stuff and how bare bones it actually is, I keep coming back to it because the game is really friggin' fun. The game feels really, really good, you know, with the lack of stuff that is here. I'm gonna say it again. If Splatoon 3, and even Splatoon 2, I think people would 100% enjoy it more. Of course, connection could be better if it was the higher heart rates were better, and if input lag was better. Like all of these factors, I think they're all really, really important. Like if all of that stuff was better, then I think all of those people would change their mind, and they wouldn't look past a lot of stuff and say that, you know what, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, whatever, are really fun because they feel fun to play. But I feel like it doesn't feel fun to play because in the feeling of your hands, it doesn't feel nice to play. That's what I feel like we're missing. And I hope that when a Switch 2 comes out, the next console or anything like that, they hopefully, fingers crossed, because I've been hoping for this for the last 7 years now, they fixed the stupid issue with the Nintendo Switch that has, where you can't connect a controller wiredly and have less input lag, because for whatever reason, you connect the controller wildly. You connect the controller wired, and it gives you even more input lag. Why does that happen? I don't know. Yes, I'm yapping, but truly, I think this is a bigger problem because the game doesn't feel good. The game does not feel good, and I keep coming back to Splatoon 1, and I'm just like, man, I can come back to this game and everything feels good. It feels fun. It feels fluid. Like, there's just so much things you can do with it. Like, it feels so good in the hands. Like, you guys don't understand. If you've never played... Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm yapping so hard right now, but like my biggest issue with Splatoon 2 and 3 is that input delay is a problem, and not many people may be able to recognize that. Many people may not be like affected by that. Maybe they've never felt something that's felt as fluid as Splatoon 1 has. But 110%, I will say the biggest problems with Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 is because it has really high input delay. Just because of that, it makes it less fun to play. And it doesn't grab people to want to go back to play it because it doesn't feel good to play. Netcode as well. Like I said, I netcode 100%. But I also think that's not even really Splatoon's fault. I just think that's a hardware limitation, mainly from the Switch. Generally don't feel like sometimes it's the devs' problem or it's the devs' like fault, mainly because there are so many hardware limitations with the Nintendo Switch that are currently there. And unfortunately, it makes Splatoon worse. Because I'm just, like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just like, how did the first Splatoon game do it so well, and then the second and third come out, but it just doesn't feel better than the first? How do we go backwards on that? And the only thing I can think of is just that they're using different hardware and they're using something different, and they're not using something that they were able to use like last time, you know? So sometimes I just don't feel like it's the dev's fault when it comes to the hardware aspects of it, where it's the netcode or where it's the input lag or anything like that. Like, that's just how I feel. So I'm saying, fingers crossed. I really hope the next Switch, the next console, is a good console. Just a powerful console. All the issues that were in the previous Switch fixed. They've had time to do that. They've had 7 years, come on now, to identify all these issues. They should be fixed, you know? And they can't, like, cheap out on certain hardware just to make just not a better console. To be honest, if we're talking about Splatoon 3, like, again, I feel like if we're talking about like content in the game, there is a lot of content in the game. I can't stress enough, there is a lot of content in the game. Generally, I'm just saying, as a business start point of view, they've marketed the game pretty dang well, but the game, how it feels, I feel like is the thing that makes it fail, you know? Especially because like 8 trailers is just like insane. There's so much content. And I feel like, again, we would appreciate that more, or the larger community would appreciate that more, if games like Fortnite didn't exist. It might seem like a joke, but if Fortnite didn't exist, this game would look like they'll just be getting so much content and many different updates, like, compared to, like, it'll be getting so many, it'll be looked at as like the game that would get the most updates ever. Like, there's a lot of updates it gets, you know, so, I don't know. It's still true, because, like, dang, man. Fortnite set the bar way too high, I'm just saying. So, how much would you pay for a Switch 2? I would pay 500, I'm not gonna lie. I would pay 400, 500. I feel like Nintendo would probably go for 400, in my opinion, if they were to make a more powerful console. But if the next console is like 400 and it's powerful, and like, let's just say like, oh my god, dude, could you imagine Nintendo Switch, they do a Switch 2, they double the frame rate, they make the hertz rate 120. Like, they could do that. They really could. They could do that. Like, make it 120. Like, why not? Double the frame rate, that's like twice the amount of input delay gone. You know how hype it would be to have like a 120 Nintendo Switch console? It's handheld as well. It can be turned into a home console too. Like, that's like something, that's a console that's never been done before. Other than like phones, like my phone is 144 hertz and I think I got it for like around 400, 500 pounds. But you know, it's something that's definitely possible in terms of like actual hardware. And you know, I mean, the hardware that I have, I mean, I've had it for like 5 years at this point. So it's just like, come on, man. It can happen. I think it depends on how much they still want it to be a portable console. If I think they can make it a portable console. Technology now these days has just been improved so much to where like they can make a really powerful handheld console if they wanted to. I mean, I think Steam Deck is like 90 hertz. It can go up to 90 hertz, which is still pretty good. But like, come on, bring the hertz rate up, man. What are you doing? Like, okay, if handheld is gonna be in 90 hertz, make home console 120 or more. Pump the frame rates up, make the game smooth, make them feel good. Like, I think people would appreciate that. I would appreciate that. It's like, you know how they say quality over quantity? I base a lot of my quality in games of how they feel and how the gameplay feels, you know? Like, that's like me. Like, that's just, like, I don't really care like how much stuff is in the game. Like, I care a majority of the time of like how fun is that game. Like, because there's so many, like, old school games that are out there, and, like, people will always go back to them. There's so much love for so many of these games, because at the same time, they feel good, and there's quality games at the same time, you know? I mean, maybe there's some nostalgia factor on it there, but there's something about those games, and something about the gameplay that makes people want to come back, especially for multiplayer games, you know? So, generally, I don't really care, like I said, I don't really care what's there. It's just how it's executed and how that feels and why is it fun, why is that gameplay fun, you know? So You know it's good when you don't have options like squid roll and still come up on top. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like don't get me wrong, the squid roll is very, very cool. Like that's a amazing. That's just extra movement. And I'm all game for extra movement. But the input delay is something that I've always thought about for like the last 7 years of playing Splatoon, and it always irks me. Like I love Splatoon, but it's the number one thing that has irked me playing this franchise and series. You know, I just want it to feel good. Hardware is what limits Splatoon 3. At some point, yeah. I mean, in terms of how it feels, you know. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I just think, like, people would enjoy those games more if the hardware felt better, you know.